So, wir lesen jeden Morgen aus dem Heiligen Srimad Bhagavatam. Das ist eines der wichtigsten Bücher unserer Tradition. Ja, das sind Vers, Sanskrit-Vers, und wir lesen eigentlich jeden Tag einen Vers. Und ja, rackern uns so durchs Bhagavatam durch. Es sind 18.000 Vers, so das dauert mehrere Jahre. 18.000 durch 365 gibt wie viel? 10. 10 mal 365, 3056. Und dann das 18 durch 3000. Sagen wir mal 18 durch 4000 gibt. Gibt 4, 6 oder?
Also du darfst rechnen, sagen 50.
50 Jahre.
Ah.
50 Jahre kann das sein? Für mich haben. Nein, das kann nicht. Natürlich hat dann auch oft.
Nein, aber wieso durch 365?
Also es hat auch nicht. Wir lesen dann manchmal mehr Vers. Das wird nicht lang. So, today, we can chant first. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welchen Vers haben wir gestern gelesen?
Ich weiß es nicht.
16. Ah, du bist nicht da. Ich habe auf jeden Fall 17. So we are continuing reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 5, Chapter 10, Text 17. It's a verse, so we can recite together. Nahang Vishanke Suraraja Vajran. Bist du ready? Noch nicht? 15, 17. Nahang Vishanke Suraraja Vajran. Natri Akshashula Nayamas Yamasya Dandat. Nagnyarka Somani Lavita Pastrach. Shanke Brishang Brahma Kulavamanat. Naham Vishanke Suraraja Vajran Nadraksha Shulan Nayamasya Dandat Nagnarka Soma Nilavita Pastrach Shanke Brisham Brahma Kulavamanat. Word for word translation. Na, not. Aham, I. Vishanke, am afraid. Suraraja Bajrat, from the thunderbolt of the King of Heaven, Indra. Na, nor. Drakshashulat, from the piercing trident of Lord Shiva. From the piercing trident of Lord Shiva. Na, nor. Yamasya, of the superintendent of death, Yamaraj. Dandat, from the punishment. Na, nor. Agni, of fire. Arka, of the scorching heat of the sun. Soma, of the moon. Anila, of the wind. Vittapa, of the owner of riches. Kuvera, the treasure of the heavenly planets. Astrat, from the weapons. Shanke, I am afraid. Vrisham, very much. Brahmakula, the group of the Brahmanas. Avamana, from offending. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. My dear sir, I am not at all afraid of the thunderbolt of King Indra, nor am I afraid of the serpentine, piercing trident of Lord Shiva. I do not care about the punishment of Yamaraj, the superintendent of death, nor am I afraid of fire, scorching sun, moon, wind, nor the weapons of Kuvera. Yet, I am afraid of offending a Brahmana. I am very much afraid of this. Purport. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was instructing Rupa Goswami at the Dashashvamedha Ghat in Prayag, he pointed out very clearly the seriousness of offending a Vaishnava. He compared the Vaishnava aparad to Hati Mata, a mad elephant. When a mad elephant enters a garden, it spoils all the fruits and flowers. Similarly, if one offends a Vaishnava, he spoils all his spiritual assets. Offending a Brahmana is very dangerous, and this was known to Maharaj Rahugana. He therefore frankly admitted his fault. There are many dangerous things: thunderbolts, fire, Yamaraj's punishment, the punishment of Lord Shiva's trident, and so forth. But none is considered as serious as offending a Brahmana, like Jada Bharat. Therefore Maharaj Rahugana immediately descended from his palanquin and fell flat before the lotus feet of the Brahmana, Jada Bharat, just to be excused. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayang Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatang Vitang Tang Sajivam Sadvaitang Savadutang Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vichakanvitangscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhubhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine. Hare Krishna. So we're continuing reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. Now King Rahugana is speaking to Jada Bharat, and in this verse he is expressing how he's afraid now that he has committed some offense against Vaishnav, a Brahmana. And he's saying that actually he doesn't have fear at all from anyone, even the supermost controllers in this universe like Indra, Shiva, Yamaraj, Kuvera. He's not afraid of them or their punishment, but he's afraid of offending a Brahmana. A Brahmana is a spiritual person, someone who is self-realized. And there's different kinds of spiritual people according to the Vedic scriptures. Some they are connected to the impersonal spiritual energy. So like this, we know many traditions, religions, or even esoteric groups. They maybe speak about the spiritual light, or the eternal sphere, or the all-connecting energy, or the universal aspect. So that's that kind of aspect of spirituality where underlying to everything we see in this material world, there is some commonality. Then there is another one, that's the yogi. The yogi, he can see that the God is in everyone's heart. And then there is another one, is a bhakta, and the bhakta, he sees that God is the absolute, is even a separate individual consciousness, the supreme consciousness, like a person, like the Supreme Father, the person you can have an exchange with. And in our tradition we focus on that aspect, on God as a person. But all of them are spiritual, and in this he's saying that committing some violence, be it physical or vocal, or even in the mind, against all of them is very bad. And the reason for that is all of them are very dear to God, because they have so many exalted qualities that they become very dear to God. Usually these spiritual personalities, they only act for the welfare of all human beings. They are not in duality, and they don't commit any violence against anyone. They try to serve anyone, and that's why they become very dear to God. And so if someone commits some offense against them, then this is a very grave sin, according to the Vedic scriptures. Srila Prabhupada in the verse, of course, then speaks about the Vaishnava aparad. So specifically when one commits an offense against a spiritual person who worships God as a person, who has a loving relationship with God, that is a very great offense. And in the scriptures, this offense is called Hati Mata, a mad elephant. Mad elephant, why? Because this example is given, you have a beautiful garden with nice flowers and fruits, and if a mad elephant goes in, an elephant usually he will ruin everything within 1 second if he runs around. It's all down. Imagine now we are trying to cultivate our garden around the house. If an elephant runs around the house, everything will be sometimes on farms, sometimes they have some garden, and then maybe some boars come, a wildschwein, a boar, and they destroy everything within a few minutes, or some other animals. Even when the cows, they break loose, they can ruin a whole garden in a few minutes. So anyway, the point is that this offense against a Vaishnava is like a mad elephant, in the sense that in a second it can destroy everything. Yeah, and that we have many examples also in the scriptures, one being Durvasa Muni with Ambarish Maharaj is a very good example, because it also shows the different levels of spiritual people. So the story is also here in the Srimad Bhagavatam of two personalities, one being a king and one being a saintly person. And usually one would think that the saintly person is worshipable and the king is still a worldly man, even though very exalted, but a king is a worldly man, and therefore the saint is higher, especially from a perspective of spiritual consciousness. And in this story, the saint came to the king's house when the king was fasting, and he was just about, in India, in our tradition, there is the tradition of fasting, and usually there is also connected with that Vaila.
We were just explaining that.
Okay. Yeah. So we fast, and then there is also a particular way how you should break the fast, meaning how you again take food. It's quite detailed description. And the king, he was fasting the previous day, Ekadasi, and then on the next day he was supposed to break the fast. And when he was about to break the fast, this saint came. And there is also a tradition in India that when a guest comes to your house, especially a saint, you're not supposed to eat yourself before you give food to the person. And so the problem came that the saint went to the river to bathe before accepting food in order to freshen himself up. And this time to break the fast was running out. And then the king didn't know what to do, so he remembered in the scriptures it is said that drinking is breaking the fast, but also not breaking the fast. It's kind of a gray zone. And then he drank some water in order to complete his fast. And in that moment, the saint came back and he saw, and he became very angry. It's a funny story, actually. He became very angry and he cursed him. He wanted to kill him, actually. He wanted to kill him, yeah. So, and then what happened is the Supreme Lord is a weapon, and that weapon came to kill Durvasa Muni, the saint, because he wanted to kill the king. Why? Because the king was a Vaiṣṇava. Even though he was a king, but internally he was always doing everything for the pleasure of God. And that's why he was under the protection of God. And even though the saint, he was very much advanced in this impersonal spiritual advancement, he was considered lower. And yeah, so then this Durvasa Muni traveled through all the universe trying to escape from the Sudarshan Chakra, this weapon, and he went to different personalities asking for protection, and all of them said they cannot do something because this is the weapon of God. So then finally he came to God and he asked him for forgiveness, and God told him, I can also not do anything, you have to ask forgiveness from the Vaiṣṇava, the devotee. And yeah, then he went back and he asked forgiveness from the king, Ambarish, who of course forgave him, and then he was saved. Yes, so that's that story. And that's the thing, when mad elephant, we can reflect about this again. A mad elephant, you can build something up for a long time. Again, the example of the garden is so nice. You can cultivate the garden for months, but the mad elephant can destroy it in a second. And in a similar way, we can practice spiritual life for many, 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 many years. But if we do a mistake, we hurt a devotee, it can destroy all of this. And that shows how God is very personal. He is personal, he's conscious, and he has relationships with persons, and if these persons, they are mistreated, no matter what you do, it will not be pleasing to the Lord. It's like if you have parents who have a small child, and sorry for giving this crude example, but let's say a person gives some gifts to the parents, at the same time he's being violent to the child. How can the parents be happy about this gift? They will not want this gift, because their child is being hurt. So no matter what this person will do, give money, give gifts, speak nice words, if they hurt the child or mistreat the child, then the parents cannot accept any of these things. And in a similar way, God, he cannot accept someone who misbehaves towards all living entities, but especially to the Vaiṣṇava. Because the Vaiṣṇava is like a very intimate family member of God. And so now we have to explain who is a Vaiṣṇava. A Vaiṣṇava is not, we try to be Vaishnavas here, we are not yet Vaishnavas, we practice. So we shouldn't think that, somebody spoke something to me and Prabhu, or Mataji, why are you doing this Vaishnava aparat to me? Offer obeisances. Something like that. That's not. Actually, a Vaishnava is always forgiving. A Vaishnava doesn't hold any grudge. But the problem is God cannot tolerate. That's how it works. The Vaishnava is always tolerant, no matter what happens to him. But God cannot tolerate if a Vaishnava is mistreated. So yeah, we can. Guru Nisha doesn't understand me. So, and you are kind of a guest, and so then I'm speaking to you. Whoever's on the camera, we can remind ourselves today about this Vaishnava aparat and understand its very danger in our life, and we have to see how we can avoid it. Familiarity breeds contempt, is a saying, that if one becomes familiar with devotees, then there is a risk that we misbehave. That's also in worldly relationships. If we become too intimate, sometimes we don't behave very respectfully anymore. And therefore, the Vedic culture, and especially the Vaishnava etiquette culture, tries to protect us from that. It's a very scientific culture, which, even though in the beginning it feels a little bit artificial, but when it does follow that, then it trains the mind in a way to be careful how to treat other living entities. And there are simple things like calling other living entities Prabhu or Mataji. This is like we call men Prabhu and women Mataji. Some they say we should even call men Prabhu. There's a big controversy in our movement, and takes a lot of energy and time to find out what's proper and what's improper. But in general, the idea is that we use respectful terms. And Prabhu means master. So like Prabhu, master in the sense that, you know, I see you as you are superior to me. And we use that actually for all people. And for ladies we especially say mother, because mother is also, who would hurt one's own mother if we actually understand who is a mother? We always treat the mother respectfully and full of love. And this is a small thing, but it's very difficult for us because we have a big ego. We don't like to call someone Prabhu or Mataji because we don't like to admit that we are actually the servant. But yeah, it's a small thing and it helps. Or we offer obeisances regularly, like in the morning you saw. In the very end, we offer obeisances to everyone. That we also do regularly. And we show our respect. And yeah, we spoke about this Vaishnava etiquette. We should have this course, no? I was just thinking this morning about it. So I have some devotee on my mind who could give that course, hopefully next month. There's a very nice song. The first song I learned on the harmonium, which glorifies the Vaishnava. We have 25 minutes left. Maybe we can quickly sing it without harmonium. It's in the songbook. If you, Yamuna, you can bring these songbooks. vielleicht zwei oder für mich auch noch eins.
Was ist das? Woher weißt du noch?
Ich muss schnell schauen, vielleicht ist mal schauen, ob es in dem drin ist. Ah, da. Vaiṣṇave Vigyapti heisst es. 66. So we can sing this song in glorification of this wonderful Vaishnav, and we can first, I'm going to read the translation. O Vaishnav Goswami, please be merciful to me now. There is no one except you who can purify the fallen souls. Where can anyone find such a merciful personality by whose mere audience, since all sins go far away? After bathing in the waters of the sacred Ganges many times, one becomes purified. But just by the sight of you, the fallen souls are purified. This is your great power. The holy name delivers one who has committed an offense to Lord Hari. But if one commits an offense to you, there is no means of deliverance. This is very nice. Gangare parashala hoile pashate pavan darshane pavitra kuroi. Haristane aparade tare harinam. Tomastane aparade nahi paritran. Yeah, any other offense can be rectified by chanting, but the offense against the Vaishnav, nahi paritran, nothing can purify that person. Your heart is always the resting place of Lord Govinda, and Lord Govinda says, the Vaiṣṇavas are in my heart. Tomara ridoye sada, Govinda Vishram, Govinda Kohena, Mora Vaiṣṇava Paran. I desire the dust of your holy feet in every birth I may take. Please consider Narottam yours and be kind upon him. Okay, you ready? He baro karuna koro, Vaiṣṇava Gosha. Vaiṣṇava Gosha, Vaiṣṇava Gosha, Patita Pavana Toma Vineke Hona, Patita Pavana Toma Vineke Hona. Jaharani Kate Gile Papa Dureta, Jaharani Kate Gile Papa Dureta, Emana Dayala Prabhu Kebakota. Gangara Parasha Hoile Pasate Pava Gangara Parashale Pasata Pava Darshane Pavitra Koro Tomara Darshane Pavitra Koro Tomara Haristane Aparadhi Tare Harina Haristane Aparadhi Tare Harina Tomastane Aparadhi Nahi Paritra Tomastane Aparadhi Nahi Paritra Tomarari Doye Sada Govinda Vaiṣṇavas Tomarari Doye Sada Govinda Vaiṣṇavas Govinda Kohena Mora Vaiṣṇava Para Pratitame Kori Asha Charane Radholi 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 Narotame Koro Doya Apanara Boli Narotame Koro Daya Panara Boli Ebaro Karuna Koro Vaiṣṇava Gosai Patita Pavana Toma Bine Kehona Jaya Vaiṣṇava Thakur Jaya Vaiṣṇava Thakur Vaiṣṇava Thakur Jaya Vaiṣṇava Thakur Jay, any questions or comments? Yes.
Thank you for this song and the lecture. Sometimes I'm wondering how there wasn't people recall the things because sometimes it hasn't got sense from be called Goswami as we are controlling the senses. And so I'm wondering sometimes.
Yeah, he's called a Muni. There's different words, no? A Muni is especially someone who speculates a lot. It's said that a Muni is not a Muni if it doesn't have a different opinion than another Muni. So they always try to have a different. But Durvasa Muni is certainly a very exalted personality. He's a partial incarnation of Shiva, if I remember correctly. But you know, you can ask the same thing, why Brahma, Indra, they also lost it at some point. And Indra lost it completely. I mean, he wanted to kill all the bridge passes. Imagine. He lost it. And yeah, that's the nature of this material world. As long as we have this body, we are connected to matter. There is a very tendency to lord it over and be lusty. And when we have lust, then it can be very subtle. No, if we see with Durvasa Muni, if we see with Indra, it's the false ego basically, which became the problem. Because the false ego was hurt, then they became very upset. So as long as the false ego is there, even though one is a devotee, one has this risk of misbehaving. That's why we have to get rid of this false ego. That's the main problem we have.
But isn't the same with person who is not so affected by false ego?
Yeah, usually. You know, there is also the pastime potency, Yoga Maya. So she's sometimes enacting something. You even hear stories you know how Tulsi came to this planet. She was cursed by Radharani, she got so angry. So you can say, you know, but this is all Lila Maya, and especially when it comes from the spiritual world. Yeah, so
We're not able to understand actions.
yeah, it's not really possible to understand.
And another question.
Yes.
And regarding the Vaishnava etiquette, sometimes if people are not so familiar with Vaishnava etiquette, and we are ourselves also not, then it's difficult for me if I should, for example, not follow Vaishnava etiquette when in order to hurt them, because actually Vaishnava etiquette is there not to hurt other people, but sometimes I feel like I have to cross Vaishnava etiquettes in order not to hurt, and
For example.
well, yeah, to hug certain people or to be personal in that sense. To look
Yes.
into eyes, this and that, and
Yes.
how would you see what is proper actually?
Yeah. Now you bring it out. The hugging, the controversial hugging. It's also a very controversial point, especially in our temple. Yeah. So you're speaking especially about non-devotees?
Yeah.
Yeah, I also hug my sister. Sometimes. Hare Krishna. I hope it's not gonna go. Because they don't understand, and yeah, we have to be a little sensitive, know how to deal with this. how, in our Vedic culture, the way how you express love is a little different sometimes than in how we get trained. I mean, maybe in our Western civilization it's more physical, whereas in the Vedic culture it's more not so physical. So, for example, hugging is done. Even Vedic culture means hugging is done between wife and husband behind closed doors, not in public. So that might be done between women and children, but it's not so much done with the opposite sex at all. And if it's done, then it's done between husband and wife, and not in public. And between man and man, women and women, it's a different thing. Why? Because we think that we are now having a material body, and we have male and female, and naturally male and female, they are kind of attracted to each other, and the Vedic culture tries to regulate this so that interaction between man and woman can be most sublime, and not so much on the physical plane, but more on the spiritual plane. And that's why the physical exchange gets reduced to a minimum. But yeah, then if we might deal with family members who expect us to hug them, and if we stop, they might feel we are fanatic or whatever. So we have to be tactful and sensitive and use our intelligence and discretion, discrimination. And maybe another thing is, one can also tell, I want to do it like this, and this is not. Sometimes I do that, no? When somebody wants to hug me on the street or something, I say, I'm a monk, and a woman, let's say a woman wants to hug me. I say, I'm sorry, I'm a monk, I'm not supposed to do that, but I hug you in my heart. And usually you can see there, if they really don't mind, if you say it in a mood of, really you like them, and I'm now giving you a hug in my heart. Meaning a hug, again, don't misunderstand me. I appreciate you. I value you. But I don't need to hug you physically. Then mostly in my experience they can accept nicely if they feel it's coming from the right place. But then among devotees we should really follow that culture. In our yatra there is many who do hugging, and I don't know if this is a good thing to do. I never saw Prabhupada doing that, or my Guru, spiritual master. And even it was not practiced during Prabhupada's times or Bhaktisiddhanta's times. So I personally am against this hugging, man and woman hugging if they are not married and all that. Devotees. And it's our Vaiṣṇava etiquette, it's actually not our culture. It's Western culture. So yeah, that's what I would say. Okay, let us end. We have a long day. At 9 o'clock we have a school class. Wir haben eine Schulklasse bekommen und ihr geht an die Uni heute. Das ist cool, wow. Das ist ein schöner Vortrag. Ich mal schauen, ob ich auch kommen kann. Eigentlich cool. Ja, wäre cool. Aber ich kann es noch nicht. Ja, wird wahrscheinlich. Nein. Es kommt mir gerade in den Sinn, ich habe ein Meeting. Anyway, have a nice day. Schönen Tag. Spasiba. Hare Krishna.